So, welcome, Kenneth, to our franchisee supporters podcast. Can you please introduce yourself to our audience and let them know who you are?
Of course. Well, thank you for having me. I'm Kenneth Burke. I'm the VP of Marketing at Text Request. We're a text messaging platform, and we've been around for about 10 years now, and we've been serving the franchise community for about as long as well.
Wow, that's great. So, texting, it's a very interesting and sometimes maybe controversial topic in the world. However, I definitely something that I do love and appreciate in our business. So, I am glad that you're here and you get to share this information with our audience about, what is the power of texting? And I would say, what is the power of business texting in this world? But let me start first by asking you, why should businesses bother texting at all?
Sure, of course. I think the main thing to think about is, and I always ask a group of people this question when I get the chance is, show of hands, how many of you have ignored a phone call today already? And then show of hands, how many of you have sent and received text today already? And it's really just human nature at this point where we ignore phone calls and we pay attention to text very quickly. There's a whole lot of stats and research to back that up, but I'll keep it simple, right? And so when you apply that concept to a business context, it means that you can use texting as just another channel to actually get people's attention. But it's something that consumers do every day. And then there's also, we can get into this, there's also a lot of research to show that this is how consumers want to interact with you as well. So they text all day and they want to text with your business.
Yeah, it's amazing how the world has changed because you're right. I do not want to get in a phone call with people because a lot of times it takes too long. And many times, I mean, I get bombarded with, spam calls. So I don't have time to try to figure out if it's a good call or a bad call. If you're not in my contact list, I'm not answering the phone. So sorry. If any of you have tried to call me, send me a text because that's how I would know that it's you. And then when you call me back, I will answer the phone. But if you're not in my contacts, I am not answering the phone call. And that's all there is. Now, I have heard a lot about texting and the power of texting, but it's something that it takes a lot of time, or so I thought. And so tell me a little bit about, when it comes to business texting, how does it work? Like, how do you do it in a way that it actually can be done without hiring someone full time to do and be sending texts? How does that work?
Yeah. Well, first of all, if you want to go this route, you could hire somebody to handle it for you. A lot of marketing agencies will now offer texting. So if you already work with a good agency that you like and you want them to do more, that is an option for you. But for all of the rest of us, it's fairly simple. So you're going to want to use a business platform. Obviously, I'm biased towards text requests, but you're going to need a platform that'll help you with compliance, and then that will also help you with just some day-to-day features and functionality that you'll need that your basic cell phone doesn't come with, right? So you want to get a platform. Number two is you want to get opt-in contacts. And if you already have a list of contacts who've opted in to receive communications from you, such as past customers, then you're a step ahead, right? And if you don't have that, and it's fine if you don't, if you haven't been thinking about this before, then you just want to start gathering opt-in contacts. And there's a couple ways you can do that. Easy ones are to just add a phone number field to any of your contact forms on your website or maybe physical sign-in sheets, depending on what type of business you operate. And then you just need a little disclaimer added to the bottom of that form to say, by giving us this contact info, we may send you text messages. You can opt out at any time. So those are two basic steps. And then the third step to really, really bring it home is you need to know what you want to text for. So, you and I, probably people listening to this, text for anything and everything. It could be quick updates. It could be like you mentioned earlier, where you're not going to answer a call, but if somebody sends you a text and says, "Hey, when do you have 5 minutes to chat?" You'll give them a time, and you'll set up that call, which is fantastic for sales. So just pick what you want. What do you want to text for? Is it for requesting reviews or for customer service after you've served a customer? Is it for promotions, for marketing to bring more people into your location? is it for hiring? You need to fill jobs, and you just want to follow up with applicants really quickly to set those interviews and bring them in. So those are the 3 steps. Get a platform, get your contacts, and then just choose what you want to text for.
Yeah, that's a great point because, a while back, we were thinking about texting because so many people were saying, yeah, you should text people because, the likelihood of them, of reading it is much higher than emails and definitely higher than phone calls. Now, initially my thought was like, I don't have time to be texting people. I mean, it's like I only have 24 hours a day and I need to sleep and eat. So definitely a platform has changed all that. Like here at the academy, we do texting, and we, with the platform that we use, it's something that is very simple. And most platforms for texting are very simple. And what we do is we basically only text for reminders. We have these events, which are free webinars that are informational on our programs. And so we share that. And then when people enroll on that, then we just give them reminders so that people don't forget about the event that they registered to. And it is amazing. I'll tell you, Kenneth, that our attendance went up almost by 50% just by sending text. So if people wanted to be there, they just forgot about it. And the moment that we started reminding them, automatically attendance went up significantly, so much so that it is part of our strategy, permanent strategy, to just do that. And the way that we see it, so why we do it is as a service to them because clearly they actually wanted to be there. And so that's how we have chosen to use text. That's the basically only reason. Once in a while we send the text to invite them to the seminars, but we don't want to do that as much because we don't want to bother people, right? We don't want to be annoyed and so annoying and hear from the brand. And for us, our clients, our customers, the people that we serve, we want to be nice to them. And so for us, it's very important. We really think through exactly, what we're going to do and how often we're going to do it. So that when they do receive a text from us, it's welcomed versus annoying, right? So tell me about, cost. Do you think it's cost effective? Like, this kind of uh service or solution for businesses, is it cost effective, you think?
Well, it has to be cost effective, or the entire market would shut down. Really, is my basic response. But some people compare it to email, and you can get going with a Mailchimp or Constant Contact account for free, and then pay $20 a month or whatever. And most texting platforms aren't going to be that cheap. The telecommunications industry just has higher fees, right? We've all gone to, our mobile phone provider and seen the bill that it hits everybody. But jokes aside, it's a little more. I mean, in our case, depending on what you need to use it for, you're looking at let's thinking of multi-unit franchisees, you're looking at $50 to a few $100s a month. So it's nothing that's going to break the bank in most cases. But what's really important is how you can use that. So what's the return on investment, right? In most cases, or whenever we survey customers, the average ROI is about 25x what they spend. So you spend $50 a month and you make, I should have done the math ahead of time, but whatever 25 times $50 is, right? And a lot of times it comes down to something simple, like what you were just sharing, where you send appointment reminders so people actually show up. In a lot of cases, you only get paid once people show up for the appointment.
Exactly,
And so,
absolutely.
so that's money in the bank right there, right? And then from there, it depends on what you use it for, right? If you use it purely for customer service, maybe it's a little tougher to define a return on investment. I know we have a lot of, this isn't necessarily franchising, but we have a lot of hiring or staffing agencies who will, send a text campaign out to their list of candidates instead of calling people individually, and they'll save 30 hours that week and place every job they needed to. And
Oh, you'll be
that's
surprised. Franchises do a lot of hiring.
that's
So
true.
that is definitely one of the things that they can use, when it comes to their business. Texting is not just about, sales, but it's also about recruiting. If you already have a list of people that maybe have applied in the past and you have the contact information, then you can then send a text, and then it's much more efficient because you're sending them to all the people that have applied for a job in the last 12 months, And who knows what you're going to get back. I just thought about that. That would be like a brilliant way of using texting if you have those people phone numbers in some sort of a Excel form or something that you can easily upload them into your system, right? So you'd be surprised. That would be a great way to use texting when it comes to franchisees.
Hugely effective. Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of franchisees, let's talk about what other things can franchisees use texting for? So obviously in the franchise industry, in the franchise world, there are many different industries that exist. So let's talk about in food service. What do you think a food service brand that gathers their customer information through the VIP program, for example, like what would a food service organization use texting for? Any ideas on that?
Yeah, I think of for food service, three things pop to mind. One is just pure promotions, right? And so I know I'll avoid name dropping brands here. Um, but after local sporting events, there's a food service brand who is a sponsor, and based on how that sporting event goes, if the team wins, they have Monday as their day, so they'll send out a discount code to everybody, right? And it's just pure promotions.
Oh, I love
Just
that.
giving
But
some
that makes it
context.
actually fun because it's something with the community, it's something with the sports team. So adding that additional personalized, community-oriented texting would actually, I could see that being more welcome than just general sales, right?
So that's a big deal. Exactly. Number two is for reviews. So food service, franchise or not, where you rank in Google searches when somebody types in, pizza shops near me or best tacos in town, um, your rankings dictated by your Google reviews. And so following up with customers, especially like you mentioned, a VIP program, right? If you have somebody who is a VIP who comes back regularly, ask them for their 2 cents, or ask them for 5 stars specifically. So that's a great one. And then I said three. I'll actually add a fourth. One is kind of fun. You can crowdsource some social media content. So you could say like send us a picture of your family enjoying a meal, or send us the craziest place you've had, Domino's Pizza or whatever. You could do that. But then basic customer service. Not everything's going to go right 100% of the time. Everybody knows that, but I think every franchisee just wants to be aware of when it doesn't go well, and to be able to jump on that to make it right or do their best. So having, you know, enabling customers to be able to text you to say, "Hey, this was terrible. What can we do about it?" Especially before they take to Google or other public platforms. That's really powerful. And those actually work. We're talking about food service, but those really work across the board, across all
Yeah.
industries.
No, definitely. I love that idea. I didn't think about, you're right. You can have customers send you a photo of them enjoying, their product or something, and then ask their permission to post that. And then you can use that as content in social media. Wow, that actually makes me think about some things we can do here at the Academy. So I could definitely see that. So okay, so what about other, I guess it's similar, the industries, but think of something with personal service memberships, maybe anything different, or share other unique ways or interesting ways in which to use texting as a tool for your business.
Yeah, there's a few industries come to mind. I'm going to pick one to start with is financial services. Let's go. Maybe you're a tax planning franchise. Um, Even just text reminders again, right? Hey, April 15th is coming up. We're going to get busy. We know people are going to wait till the last minute. So we're going to start sending reminders in January, hey, or February, whenever people get their statements in. Um, hey, go ahead and complete your return so we can get you your refund faster. Is a great way to do it. And even in a very boring industry, but something that is very hands-on, very personal, like you said, or I say boring. People think of it as boring often. It's not
Yes,
always, but
taxes. Yeah, taxes is boring.
another one would be I think home service brands, especially whenever a a technician is going to be coming into somebody's home. So something that works really well is to be able to send a text ahead of time, and to have even a photo of the person who's coming to your property to say, hey, here's Billy. You know, this is what Billy looks like. Fun fact: Billy loves dogs, so don't feel like you have to hide yours. Something like that. It really breaks the ice. It helps people feel more comfortable. Helps them have a better overall experience, which then leads into, of course, more money down the line, better reviews, more referrals, all the things you want. And
Yeah,
it's
and that
something
that-
so
and that
simple.
actually, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I mean that really makes it personal. And so in a world where everything is so cold and so technology and so far away from each other, this is a way to add a personal touch. Also, it's a great point for security, for safety and security for people. I love that idea. Yes, so keep going.
Well, I'll go back to taxes actually. Um, I hear this from a lot of CPAs where they're tired of getting phone calls all the time. They're tired of getting things sent to their personal device. So especially during busy seasons, they don't have any boundaries. Use a platform, right? And whenever your client gets a scary letter in the mail or just has something they aren't sure, what it means, they can send you a text or a picture of that form or that letter. And it makes it way easier, especially nowadays. And this applies to other industries as well. Insurance as well comes to mind. Um, so few people have scanners anymore, certainly not fax machines anymore, right? And so how are you going to get a document from one place to another when you need to sign it? Most people are on the go or they're just using their phones anyway. And so taking a quick photo of that and sending it on um, is just really convenient. And so people, as a business, you may not push for that to be the primary use case. But as a consumer, if that's an option, that might be better for you and that might help you move through the process faster.
Hmm.
So I could go through all these tiny niche use cases, but I think the big ones are, being able to, or they're all around being able to have an actual conversation with somebody.
Yeah, and I mean, I could see how, I mean, some of the guidance, and I'm just going to name a few, and maybe you can add some more to it. Like if you are going to be doing texting, and you said the three steps on it, right? But if you're going to do texting, make sure that it's something that is valuable for whoever is receiving it, because again, you don't want to be annoying. I know that's something that is very important for us. We don't want to be annoying to people. We want to be helpful. We want to be of service. We want to be able to add value to them. And so doing, things like that you really can do that and add value to the people receiving the text is going to be very important. And the great thing about it is like you can do it in volume. You can spend, 10 minutes to put it all together and send it out to everyone. And if it's something that you spend the time to think through, it's going to be important. And so definitely something that adds value that helps, with time. People don't have time anymore. So you might be able to email something, but are they going to even see the email? Now we're getting buried with email. So if it's something that is time is of the essence, I think that it just really saves time to just send a quick text to be able to get the information across. Any other best practices in regards to, when or what or how or why to send the text?
Yeah, I'll piggyback on again. Oh wait, you're setting this up so well. I love it. Um, we use the golden rule for texting. We recommend it. Text as you would want to be texted. And when you apply that to a business, think about you should only text when you have something worth sharing. So many, especially people in marketing, so many people will say, "Oh, we need more customer attention. We need to draw more people in. So let's just start sending these messages out. It could be text, email, social media, whatever." We need to take a step back and be more thoughtful in it. Exactly to the point you were making, you don't want to become overbearing, and a lot of it does depend on what expectations you set when you got their contact information. So, did somebody opt in to get a deal of the week? And if they did, then you more or less have an obligation to send them a promotion every week, which can be a great thing. If they opted in to just get updates on their account status or whatever it might be, and then you start sending them weekly promotions, that's a break with expectations, and so you're going to create a bad experience. They'll eventually opt out. So you just have to think about that. Everybody's is different. There's some franchise brands, they send a quarterly SMS marketing campaign. There are some franchise brands we work with, and they're during service, they're texting with customers, more or less all day, every day. Um, so there's a lot of variance depending on context, depending on brand, depending on what you're trying to accomplish and the expectations there. But it comes down to just be thoughtful. If you remember there's a human on the other side of this, then I think decision making gets a little bit easier.
Yes, definitely. I'm a member of a personal service brand and where I get my facials. And I get texting for first of all reminders of my appointments, which I really appreciate. And then I get one right before with instructions on how to approach the building, which I think they still have the COVID rules in there. I think they need to maybe get rid of those, but they send me that, but it's the last minute. So it's actually a last minute reminder for me. And then, of course, once the service is done and I leave, they actually send me another text asking me to do a review. And so, but that's it. That's the done, right? I get a reminder, then instructions on what to do when I approach the building. And then the last one is on the reviews. And I know I'm going to get those and I don't mind because, it's a place that I like to go to all the time. And I think that's fantastic. Actually, you know what? I do get one more type of text, and that is only once in a while where they say, "Hey, we have some spots opening with your favorite esthetician. Would you like to book something?" And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I don't have one book." So sometimes that actually gives me a call to action to do something that I would have wanted in the first place. So I love the fact that you say text the way you want to be texted because that find it as a service to me. If I don't have something booked already, then that it prompts me to do so. And if I already have one, I just think, oh, I already have one, so we're good. So and that's I think is a great example of how personal service businesses can actually use that, whether it's for spas or car care, oil changes, really anything like that.
I I completely agree. That's one of my favorite recommendations as well for appointment based businesses. So you could think about that could apply to salons are a big one, right? For hey, somebody canceled their appointment, we've got an opening, come on in. And on the business side, you're making up that lost revenue, so that's fantastic. But it also works for let's say contractors. Uh, I don't know. I don't know about anybody else, but we had a contractor come out to our house. I remember a few years back, and we needed a quote on uh, fixing a drainage situation. And they said, it'll be X. Here's what we'll do, but it's going to be four months before we can get to you because we're backlogged. We had a neighbor do the exact same thing, go through the same process. They just put their name on the list. 3 or 4 weeks go by, and that contractor had somebody back out, and so they texted our neighbor and said, hey, we've got an opening. Would it be convenient for you if we started on your project early? And I just share that story to show that it almost doesn't matter what industry you're in. If you think a little bit more creatively, there are ways to provide better customer experiences while keeping more money in your pocket. And that's what we all want.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I love it. The fact that it's a service to people, it's advantage for them, but also a way for the businesses to fill in some gaps that they may have. And because they're sending it to a massive amount of people, the possibilities of response is high. And therefore it's just a win-win-win. I love that. That's fantastic. Now, of course, like anything in the world of business, there are regulations. So, what are the type of things that business owners need to be conscious about and aware of that they don't break any, laws? Of course, we want to do the thing that is right for our customers and do what the way they would want it to be done. But what are the regulations that we need to be paying attention to so that we don't break any laws?
Well, I'll say I am not a lawyer. This does not constitute legal advice, but we have done this a time or two. One thing to keep in mind is something called 10DLC registration. And 10DLC is an acronym because every industry needs an acronym that just stands for 10-digit long code phone number, which is another way of saying it's a standard phone number. Mobile carriers now require you to register your number for texting with them. And the reason is that they want to help cut down on spam. So they just want to verify that you are a legitimate person doing following quality business practices. So it's an extra step, but ultimately it's a good thing, and it will actually help you get higher message delivery rates and send faster. So all that's good, but it's a step you need to be aware of. Whether you're working with text requests, will help you get that set up, no problem, or anybody else. That's something you have to do. Part of that, and then the big thing to pay attention to, and we mentioned it earlier, but is opt-in. So people need to opt in to receiving communications from you. You can't go buy a list from a trade show and then start texting everybody, right? That's going to cause problems. And then number three is that you want to pay attention to. This is less compliance and regulation, and it's more of just best practice to make sure you can stay in the game. Is you want to be aware of what you're putting in your messages. So there are some things that spammers will commonly add in their text messages, and mobile carriers say, okay, if we see anybody doing these similar things, we'll flag them as potential spam. And those could be things like sending messages that are in all caps, or if you have way too many typos in your message. If you use a shortened link, like a bit.ly link, where if I'm the receiver of it, I can't see what domain it's sending me to. That's a red flag. Too many emojis can be questionable. One or two is usually fine. Things like dollar signs, tons of exclamation points. If you imagine a spammer, here's a promise of how you can make way more money, yada, yada. Follow this link. Anyway, none of those by themselves are usually bad things. When you do several of them in large volumes, it can get you flagged, and that can affect delivery rates for other messages. So that's just something to be conscious of. But again, if you text as you want to be texted, you should be okay.
Yeah, I like that. Thank you for that guidance for sure. Very, very good. Very good to know. I already have all kinds of ideas of what additional things I want to do with our customers, our followers that we have their phone numbers for. And again, and we want to be nice. We want to do the right thing. And so if you are listening to this podcast or watching it anywhere and you have any other best practices or tips, please put it in the notes. We'd love to hear what you had to say about that, and see what other things are happening out there that could be a great way of using texting. Kenneth, this is fantastic. Any other additional tips or guidance that you want to provide for people watching today?
I think if you aren't texting yet and you've been thinking about it at all, give it a shot. The worst case scenario is you do it for a few months and then you say, hey, that didn't work like we thought it was going to. But the best case scenario is you start making a lot more money and saving a lot of time, which is pretty good. So that's my last recommendation. Oh, and quick plug for us. If you do want to learn more about text requests, visit textrequest.com. We're here for you, here to help.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that, about how can people reach out to you. So Text Request is the company that you work with and specialize. Any particular thing that's special about Text Request over other platforms that you want to share?
So as far as platforms, I mean, we've got for handling conversations, we've got your SMS marketing, we've got your Google review management, text to pay as well for collecting bills and payments is a great one. A lot of things really come down to our team and our support. I mean, you can look at our reviews, and pretty much everybody will name a support or success agent by name of how great the experience was. And so whenever we're working with franchisees, we know that you really care about your customer relationships, and we want to provide that same kind of experience to you. And that's been paying off for us for the last 10 years or so.
So share again where they can find you.
Yeah, visit textrequest.com.
Awesome. Well, that is fantastic. Thank you very much, Kenneth, for being with us here today and for sharing this information on a new channel to communicate with our customers and potentially not only provide an excellent value and service, but also to improve our business results through a way that it is easy to do. You can do high volume, but it's also a way to provide and be of service to our customers. So thanks for being with us today, Kenneth.
I really appreciate it. Thank you.
All right. So what a great topic of conversation. I hope that you got a lot out of it and got your brain thinking about how to use texting to improve your business. I know I've sure got a couple of ideas. So with that being said, thank you for being with us in this podcast, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye.